Hello and welcome to our podcast. This is Welcome to Livingston, where we talk all things Livingston County. My name is Don Putkela.
And I'm Angela Putkela, and we're with the Putkela Group Real Estate Professionals.
Yes, so thank you guys all for coming in today and listening to our podcast. We are really excited today because we are just about 1 year into doing our podcast, which is super exciting. It's been quite the journey.
Really
I would say.
Amazing to think that it's been a year.
Well, we had an idea going into this, which we wanted to highlight Livingston County and talk to some of the businesses in Livingston County, talk a little bit of real estate every once in a while. But, do you want to start off? Just kind of give the concept, because I feel you do such a good job.
Oh, thanks. Well, as realtors, one of the trends that we noticed after COVID is that since people were able to work from their homes, they decided that maybe in town really wasn't where they want it to be. And Livingston County was a great place. And so more and more people were moving into Livingston County. I mean, in terms of our listings, where it used to be people within the county that were moving around, that's kind of where we noticed it. We would get multiple offers and nobody was from around here.
Right.
So it was kind of like, wait a minute. And so the more we looked, the more we asked. And we love Livingston County so much. We've been here 20 years ourselves, and there's just so much great things to take pride in terms of the businesses, but that fed into and led into local causes and local events.
Oh, 100%. And I think the local events is one of the big things, because one of the ideas I had at the beginning is for our clients that are moving out here, and even for people that have lived here a long time, that whole idea of you get off at Spencer Road in Brighton and you turn that corner and you're like, why is Main Street shut down today? And there's a festival going on that you had no idea was there, or something like the Melon Fest this last weekend that maybe you forgot was there. And, this year they brought the parade back that hadn't been there in 14 years. So it's this idea of there's always so much growth and there's so much happening in the county. Why not take an opportunity to sit back, talk about that, and let people come on to highlight not only their businesses, but in many cases their causes as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We've had, so in terms of in retrospect, and we were trying to figure out for the 1 year episode what to do with it. So often on those TV shows, they show little snippets of the last year or whatnot. But really it's more.
Yeah, we're not going to make them, them do audio clips.
Editing, that would be horrible. But just to kind of take a look back at how many great guests that we've had that really have been just fantastic. And you pulled up the data, and over the past year here, we've had 3,991 streams of our episodes.
Right, yeah. And then I'm hoping for even more in the next year. But I mean, no, that's great, because we've had people go in and listen to them and come back and listen to some of them. So what we thought we would do today is kind of click off some of our favorite episodes, talk a little bit about them, and then give people an opportunity to go back to that episode and say, hey, I didn't know you talked about this. Find out a little bit more about it. So, I have some favorite ones that I want to talk about. You have some that I know you've clicked off that you want to talk about. Some of them may be the same. Where do you want to start off? You want me to?
You go for it.
Okay. So one of the first ones I wanted to talk about is actually Orange Theory.
Yeah.
Orange Theory was a great episode. They came in, they were a lot of fun, and we joined them after that. They came in, they talked about what they are. So Orange Theory was episode number 11. And those of you that don't know what Orange Theory is a great gym that we have here in Brighton that they come in and you do a circuit. So, you're doing floor exercises, you're on a rower, you're on a treadmill, and they got us to get started after that. And what I will say is that is a much harder workout than what they told us in the class.
Well, it was neat, though. I like that it was different. I like that it was sort of this set program. And in terms of the results, it's very visual. They have it right there. You have a little thing on your arm, so it's keeping track of.
You get to watch your heart rate while you're working out.
Yeah. But to understand, because it's all visual, is it, you want to get to that orange or even red, right? For, a certain period of time and so forth. And so it was very neat.
Well, and it was one of those ones that's right next to our office. So I've been walking by and I was like, what are they doing in there? And then being able to listen to and figure out what they're doing and then go check it out as well. So,
Yeah,
I would say check that episode out. It's episode 11. If you've been thinking about that kind of circuit training, that's a great one to look at.
True. In terms of yoga, the space, that was really cool to sit down and talk with them.
Yes.
And find out what they do. And so that was just awesome. Liv Monty is the gal there, and just so much energy. And so that's an awesome episode.
Yeah, and they're over there at Green Oak, right?
Yep. They're over in Green Oak, and that was episode 20. So I feel like we definitely got a lot of interest on the fitness and health episodes for sure.
Yeah.
So that was a big deal. And it was nice that we've had such a different variety. We've had fitness, we've had the arts, we've had restaurants.
Well, speaking of the arts, I wanted to talk a little bit about our author that we had in.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Lindsay's fantastic. And
Yeah, that was episode number 30.
Yeah, it was a crayon party.
Yeah, a crayon party, right. But I would say that the nice thing there is we have these local authors. And, she wrote an amazing children's book about a crayon being added to the crayon box and about, acceptance and diversity and putting these concepts out in a way that kids can really understand. And it was just fascinating to talk to her about the journey of how she came up with the idea and that process of self-publishing something.
Right. And it's somebody right here in Brighton with us, so that's just really, really neat that there's been such a variety of people.
Right. And, I wanted to talk about one of our first episodes because episode number 2, the event is coming around again here pretty quick.
That's true. That's just next month now.
Yeah. So the Brighton Smoke and Jazz and Barbecue Blues Fest is in downtown Brighton. It'll be coming up again in September. You can find us again at that event. We'll be serving at the beer tent. I don't know what shift we have, but we'll be serving at the beer tent again. And that is a great event to get out, walk through downtown. I love that it's in the fall, that, football season is just starting out.
It's a great event, and the food is phenomenal. That's, where we first had Big Kahuna and his burgers, right? That
yes.
We had him on the podcast very recently, and he's just outstanding. And his tornado fries, and
yeah, so
I understand he's usually at that particular festival.
He is episode number 48. You should check out those food trucks in the area. It is great that we have Food Truck Tuesday and Howell. There's Food Truck Friday 3 or 4 times during the summer in Pinckney. You can see them at all the local festivals, but the Big Kahuna is a great food truck. It's great food to get.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, we are realtors.
Yes, we are.
And we try not to be all realtor because nobody wants that, honestly.
No.
But we love Livingston County. So that's why it really does heavy up on Livingston County.
Yeah.
But from time to time, we had some really cool and interesting episodes. And
right.
so that's kind of on my notes, one of the things that I had looked at.
Okay.
And just in terms of, in retrospect, some of the things that we covered, we had some great decluttering strategies. We had information for people that are relocating to Livingston. I think one of my personal favorites was the Moving with Pets episode. That one was episode number 8, because that's something that people don't even really talk about that much. So if you haven't listened to that one yet, please make sure, check that out. It really has some great content.
And there's a lot of good advice in there for moving with pets, or even if you were just vacationing with your pets, or you were, leaving and having someone else take care of your pet, dog sit, cat sit, that sort of thing. We don't think about the anxiety that our pets go through when there's change in their lives.
Right.
So I thought that was a really good episode, and there was some funny stories in that one as well.
Yeah, that was cool. Because the differences with pets, they can't verbalize. They can't tell you what they're feeling. And
right. If you want to hear about parrots that swear, please check out the.
No, there were funny stories for sure. And then, so very recently, we did Moving with Kids.
Yes.
And offered some insight that way, and kids at least are a little more verbal.
Yes.
to kind of tell you what's going on there, but. Certainly that is a whole event. We had an episode about selling an aging parent's home and working with them with that, keeping up with the housing market and strategies for buyers when it was like right in the thick of bidding wars and everything else.
Right.
Certainly things have kind of let up some to be calmer now, which is good.
Yep. And even somewhat connected to real estate, if you check out episode 21, Turner Landscape and Design, we were talking about landscaping, but I remember in that episode talking about prepping a house for, your exterior, your landscaping, your curb appeal, those sorts of things being very important as well.
Tricia Turner, very knowledgeable, outstanding work, truly phenomenal.
Yeah.
So just so many neat ones,
Well, one of the ones that I was not as excited about, but I learned a lot about was when we had the dress shop on.
Yeah, you gave me such grief when I booked, the dress shop, which is wedding dresses. And he's like, oh my gosh, what am I going to talk about? Wedding dresses. But Jessica was so fantastic and just really, really knowledgeable. And just her, her store made, being able to talk to her and listen made me want to get married all over again. Just so I could get a wedding dress
it was a lot of fun.
Right?
It was hearing the what the bride goes through and that whole process from that side is such a different thing to think about as being the groom, where we go in and we rent a tuxedo and you pick it out and none of the guys care and everyone, it's $150 a person and you move on with life.
To me, it was amazing in terms of she's working with all these different personalities.
Yes.
It's a lot like some of our first-time home buyers.
100%.
That everybody's involved in the decision, and it's, so it was really fascinating.
Yeah.
So enjoyed that.
And going back to real estate for a second, there's 2 episodes I wanted to talk about because we have some personal experience with using them recently. Mm-hmm. Number 1 is This Guy Cleans House. Does an amazing job. Rob Pierce is such a good guy. He does a really good job. He recently came out and did a thorough cleaning of a house that we had listed. And he just did an amazing job. Yeah. And I would advocate for him every day of the week. But in general, having a professional cleaner in your house, you don't realize the impact it can have on your life just in terms of, that steadiness and such. But in terms of real estate, having a cleaner come in and do that thorough cleaning for you prior to listing, that first impression is so important. And having that person come in that does that deep clean is amazing.
Yeah. And I would say just the calmness that comes from just, you don't even need to be moving. Yeah. And having a cleaner really is.
Yeah. And the other one I wanted to give a shout out to real quick was Mitten Junk Removal.
That's right.
They came and cleaned out the same house that I'm talking about that Rob came in and helped out with.
Yeah, Mike and Austin.
Yeah. Having them come in and be the professional to go through and help you declutter, help you clean out a house. Let's say you had a garage that had tons of stuff in it, or your yard, those people that have the yard that's somewhere in the yard, there's a car there somewhere. These are the people to call to come in and do a whirlwind job that in one day it makes an amazing difference.
Yeah, it's astounding. My dad had a friend who has a parent overseas, and the parent passed away. And so his friend's just at a loss for, what in the world do I do? And I just felt bad because, all the way over there, I don't have a person. But over here, hey, there's some great people that really, that's how that would work, not spending weeks trying to figure out what to do with things,
Yeah.
We've had a lot of great photographers too.
Yes.
Yes. We had Christina Kafkakis and had her on. And I believe that was, here we go. She was episode 16, Christina Maria Photo. She does a great job. She does a lot of, especially like with the little babies. She does so good. Noreen Owens Photography. We had gotten some family photos through there when we were in the magazine. Yep. And just Noreen was wildly talented, just so phenomenal.
She does an amazing job. What I loved about her episode was learning about the things she's doing with youth, the things she's doing with helping people in their self-esteem.
Yes, especially for kids in those awkward ages.
Right.
Those are tough things.
That whole, I can't remember the concept, but it's this whole, you are beautiful.
Yeah.
Which I thought was amazing, and what
so
a way
positive.
to give back, and so positive.
Love her.
Yes. And then we had Next Door Photos on as well.
Yep. And they're our go-to for all of our listings. And
right. And one of the things we talked to them about, doing major renovations at your home, and you just want some professional photos for your own keepsake and such. What a great thing to look at in something like that as well. But they're our go-to. They do an amazing job. To give a shout out to them as well.
So when was the performance? It was, I think, in March that our son Colin was in the Beauty and the Beast performance by Parker Middle School. And so we went
episode 26.
On location. Oh my gosh, that was actually episode 20. Yeah, 26. And so we had some of the main parts along with him. And Kelly Falls, who just worked so hard to put such a phenomenal, program together there. To think that these are middle school students, and I mean, it was a quality piece, and their performance, maybe not our podcast. Our podcast was great, but it was so much fun to talk to these middle schoolers about their experience in the play and how things were going.
Well, and what I would say about that is these middle schools, these high schools in the area, they put on amazing performances, and those are open to not just parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles. Those are open to the public to come in and the community to come in and see this amazing production. These were 6th, 7th, and 8th graders that you would have thought were definitely high schoolers.
Right.
They put on an amazing performance.
Yeah.
And in the singing, the choreography, it was great.
Yes. Very entertaining. And we ended up seeing every single episode.
Every single show.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or not. You know what I mean.
Saw it 4 times.
Yeah, saw the show 4 times, all 4 performances. And it didn't miss, a beat for any of them. It was just so outstanding. So
in the arts vein, if you go to episode number 5, it's Brighton Center for the Performing Arts. They have a great schedule every year. I don't know the date, but I know they have an American Idol person coming up here soon. They have,
cool things this fall.
Yeah, they have the writers of The Daily Show coming in to do like a comedy show.
Thing. And,
so,
and one of those country guys I wish I could remember which name it was. I could picture him in my head, but just a great variety of different people coming in. So definitely check that out. In terms of restaurants, now, I think restaurants are one thing that we really we love having on, and we want to have on more.
I'd love to have on more, and I'd love if any of them are listening, not only to come on, but to bring their food with them.
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
Would be great.
Yeah. But they're hard to get into the studio. They're working every day. It's really tricky. So in case you wonder why we don't have more of those, that's something we're definitely interested in. But we had Cocina de Ebright with Justin Ebright, who is the chef.
Yes.
That comes into your house. He was early on, episode 4. But Karate's Pizzeria.
I love Karate's Pizzeria.
That was episode 6.
Yes. So check them out in downtown Howell.
Downtown Howell. Yep.
They're right across from the Howell Historic Theater, right next to the courthouse.
We've had Tyler on
yes.
for his theater too.
And my favorite there is the Detroit style deep dish. I love that. But they do authentic Neapolitan, and they have authentic gelato there too, right?
Yeah. Honest to goodness, the food is just outstanding. And across the street for the Historic Howell Theater, we've rented that for client appreciation events. And we show It's a Wonderful Life every Christmas. And we've had other events that really, it's so vintage and so cool. And if you have not been down there, definitely check it out.
One of the things I tell people, you can rent that out for birthday parties. One of the cool things I haven't seen them do, but I've talked to Tyler that has been done before, is you can rent that out and have your PS4, PS5 hooked up, your Xbox, and you can run Halo tournaments, or you could do like the Smash Brothers for the Nintendo Switch, where they're pulling that up on the huge screen to play it on, which what a great idea. Huge concept, nice idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Ivory Vines, we had them on, and they finally have their sign up.
Just last week.
Yeah. So that took them a year. So, and they're such a great store.
Yeah, they're right there on Main Street in downtown Brighton. If you're going in to get anything Brighton, Howell, Michigan State, local stuff, they have a great selection there, and everyone there is so nice to work with and talk to. In fact, the cup I have here, the State Cup, today came from Ivory Vines.
Absolutely. My goodness.
So many different episodes, right?
Yeah. No, it's pretty crazy, just kind of.
One I did want to mention that was really early on is Pro Billiards. Pro Billiards helped us out with getting a pool table in my basement that we had moved from one of our clients that was so nice to.
Yeah, they didn't want it.
They didn't want
it
to give us the pool table, but they do a great job. And if you need to ever move a pool table, please get a professional to do it or listen to the episode because there's so much more that goes into that than I thought.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We had a lot of cool events. I know you mentioned the Barbecue Blues Fest. We did have the Fantasy Lights Parade that Hal puts on.
It's coming up again.
Yeah, that'll be in November. And so that was fun to talk to.
And you know what? You should say something about the ALZ walk too, because that was an episode and that's coming up here.
This is true. But also Taste of Brighton.
Brighton.
That was great to get them in and talking about how that event came back. So the walk to End ALZ, that is September 24th. And we do have a walk route for Welcome to Livingston that we really, really would appreciate your support. If you can go online and check that out and join our group and support it.
You could just great. Google ALZ Walk Brighton and it'll come up. And then when it says there, join a team, put in Welcome to Livingston. You can donate to it, or you can come walk with us, or you can start your own team. The most important thing is just support them. Everyone is connected. If you don't know someone that has ALZ, you know someone that has a family member that's dealing with it.
Right. It's so prevalent. And it was wonderful to talk to Nicole Colley to learn more about that. She just really does so much for that organization. That was episode 29. And there just is such great things in there too.
Yep.
And I know in terms of Bash Entertainment, that's our DJ guy. That's Sean Cox, who's just the most energetic.
He
DJ
is. And I run
everywhere.
into him more often than you would think. At events, I'm like, oh, he's the DJ here. And he's got the photo booth, which is so much fun.
Yeah.
Which is great. And real quick, another one, we had Optishot Golf, which I'm going to be checking out this winter. If you are over at Oak Point during the winter, they do have simulators, and Optishot Golf is the simulators in there. And it's just a way to keep yourself active during the winter. And he had such great things to talk about on how those things get set up and such. Another one would be Big Frog Custom T-shirts and more over at Green Oak. That is where we get our shirts from for the Putkela group. But going in there, they do so much to support the community in terms of local causes, in terms of, your cheer or your football team or your Cub Scouts. If you wanted T-shirts made for an event, go talk to them. They'll help you design it. They have a design book there. You can upload your logo. It's so easy to do, and they have such a great selection. And you can bring in your own shirts if need be. If you work with them, they're just really able to help you out there.
Honest to goodness. So I do want to make sure to make note of Regenerate Your Space, that Jen Ling over there, just phenomenal, that she really works hard for helping you figure out the best use for that space. Especially for those that aren't moving, right? How do you do the best for the space that you have? We do have a decluttering episode we had mentioned too, but she's just a professional.
Well, yeah, is it KonMari? Is that,
well,
she doesn't do that, but that is one of the methods there of figuring out how to get rid of stuff. One I wanted to mention is the Brighton Lighthouse, because we were just over at the Brighton Lighthouse last week. This is an amazing space that you can become a member of. You can rent space out in there. All these people that are working from home now and such, they're running small businesses. This is a collaborative space that you're able to come into and just feel like a professional. They also have a rental space for having, birthday parties, bridal showers, baby showers, all those kinds of things that so often you're looking for an indoor/outdoor space. It's just gorgeous over there. And it's updated, or they, I don't even know what to say about it. It's beautiful over there.
Boy, we've gone through just about all there. There are a couple that are still, notable mentions. We certainly want to make sure get recognized. Was that Rocksteady Boxing? That was really, really cool that they do such good things.
People with Parkinson's.
Yeah.
And then we have all these local events and local causes. As we get into fall here and you start thinking about winter, remember we do have Mount Brighton right here. Mm-hmm. Mount Brighton was on last year.
Episode
15, just talking about, it's not often that you have a ski resort in your backyard. And here in Livingston County, we have one right here. to support them, to if you are a skier, check them out.
Absolutely. And in terms of, fitness and being active, we had a number of health-related people.
We did.
Upswing Wellness. Joy Detling does such a phenomenal job for those with anxiety. So less on the physical side of things, but more in terms of getting out of your own way. She just really, really does phenomenal work with that. Recently, we just had Illuminate, which Brian Truskowski was our guy there, and he's very health-related as well, too. And we just learned so much in terms of the carpal tunnel and, in terms of a lot of that.
So I think the moral of the story is we've had a lot of more people on than we thought, right?
Yeah.
I did want to make sure to give a shout out. We are here at Speakeasy in Brighton, which they do such a great job with podcasts, with helping us out with the concept, with doing all of the stuff in the background that allows our podcast to get out there. We did have them on episode 10.
Yes, that was neat to be able to talk to them because they were, they are a local business right here next door to Stout, and they do great work, and they're a lot of marketing as well.
Right. Always just checking out the different episodes, we did a summer in Livingston County. Summer's almost over, but please check it out. We were berry picking just a couple weeks ago. There are so many wonderful things. And one of the things I loved about the podcast, and it's something that you came up with within the first couple episodes, was asking each person what they loved about Livingston County. Yeah. And I have learned so much about the variety of things people love about the county.
Yeah. Well, what amazed me is that we had so many different answers, and it really is remarkable. And that's the common thread that ties us all together.
Right. So a year in, looking back, what have you loved the most? What have you learned? Having been on a podcast for almost a year now.
I love having learned more things about my community that I didn't even know.
Right.
After 20 years, I thought I knew it all, and I learned that I absolutely did not.
Well, and the reality is you're just scratching the surface of all the things going on in the county, right?
Absolutely. There's so many things. Like, I came out of this loving Livingston County even more than I did at the beginning.
Right.
I didn't even think that was possible.
And that is such a wonderful thing.
I just love it here. It's neat because this podcast really is almost like a love letter to where we live.
Well, I think it is because there's so many things happening in the county, and while the county is growing and the county is changing, it has this wholesome feel to it. And it has, I distinctly remember when we moved out here telling our parents where we were moving, and they're like, "You're going where?"
That's the middle of nowhere.
It's the middle of nowhere, but we had driven by here so often because we were both MSU grads.
Yeah.
And we were coming in from Novi, and we were coming in from Farmington Hills, and we knew how wonderful it was here. And it has that hometown feel, and it has that community feel. And, whether it's downtown Brighton, downtown Howell, Fowlerville, Pinckney, Heartland, or anywhere in between, it's just, it's home.
So many just fabulous little treasures,
yes.
Right? Even the Opera House.
Right.
The fact that they're renovating that is so phenomenal. And we did have an episode on them too, by the way.
Or where else can you be where at some point you're going to have a hot air balloon land near your house, if not in your yard?
Right.
In the Howell area, that is such a wonderful thing that, you're sitting in your yard and you hear that, you're sitting in your living room and you hear that sound and you look out, you're like, oh my gosh, there's a hot air balloon.
This is true. And you mentioned about how we were Spartans, that we're also members of the Livingston County Spartans that give out scholarships every year. And that was an episode too.
Yeah. So I think we've hit on most of them. If we did not talk about your episode, know that we loved having you on. We tried to hit on most of them. Please go back and check the episodes out. There are 50 episodes for you to go check out, learn more about the county. Please reach out to us. Let us know who you want on in the future. We are on anywhere that you can find your podcast.
Spotify,
Apple
Podcasts.
Just Google
YouTube.
Welcome to Livingston Podcast and it pops up. You can go on YouTube and then you can see our faces while we do these episodes. So
like and subscribe.
Yes. So thank you guys so much for joining us today. It's been a wonderful last year on the show. We've had amazing guests. Thank you to everyone that's been on the show. if you know anyone that has a local business or a local cause that would like to get on the show, please reach out to us. We would love to sit down and talk to you. If you need any help in real estate, please reach out to us. You can find us on www.welcometolivingston.com. We are the Putkela Group, and we just love being here and love giving back to the community. So welcome to Livingston.